Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. First, you'll notice that I changed the title to my vlog again. I mentioned yesterday that I had changed it. I changed it from my name, Gene Schwimmer, to the political Morano. I'm going to explain that again very briefly, political Morano. But it occurred to me that I would have to change the name of the vlog officially in the YouTube searches, and then people searching for my name would not find my new video. So I changed it a little bit. My name is back in there and the political Morano is below that. Now the reason I put that addition there, political Morano, is because, as I explained yesterday, Morano were secret Jews. They were Jews during the Inquisition when Jews were given the choice of converting to Christianity or being exiled or expelled from Spain. Some of them, well, many left, but then many others converted to Christianity, but only in name. Outwardly, they had converted to Christianity, but in secret, behind closed doors, they continued to practice Judaism, and those people, or those Jews, became known as Moranos. So I'm using the title not in the religious sense, but in a political sense, because we're being ordered almost, we're being forced. If you want to have a job, now some idiot congressman or congresswoman said that anybody who supported Donald Trump or who challenged the election results of November 3rd should not be allowed to fly on a plane. So you can see that we conservatives, I'm a conservative, full disclosure, I'm a conservative, always keep that in mind, whatever I say, evaluate it in that light. But the point I'm getting at is that we're being increasingly, unless something changes, which I hope will change with a new Congress. If we take over Congress, the conservatives do, or the Republicans do, Congress and the Senate, we're being persecuted. And it's getting to the point where we're going to have to, just as those Jews during the Inquisition had to, that we're going to have to act like and pretend and, for all outward appearances, be liberals, and we'll have to secretly be conservatives. But I want to offer a little hope on that respect. This is some news that could really be big. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten more coverage than it has, so I'm going to give you some coverage today. But this has to do with, well, you all know, I'm sure, Parler has been removed from Amazon Web Services. They were hosting all the servers for Parler. They were removed. It looks like Parler has found a new home on something called Epic, a provider called Epic, EPIK, which is already hosting another similar website similar to Parler called Gab, Gab.com, which is the same thing. It's a social site and it's not censored. So it remains to be seen, but it looks kind of hopeful that they'll be able to get onto there. But the problem is not going away with these big corporations being able to exclude people from the internet and really just kick them out of the public forum. And is it not interesting that a lot of these Google employees and Facebook employees, they're moving into the Biden administration? It's really out there in plain sight that we now have a ruling triumvirate, a conspiracy or a joint venture of three parties: the Democratic Party and the overwhelmingly liberal media and the overwhelmingly liberal, at least, well, the ownership, but the employees too, Google and Facebook and Amazon, all these digital behemoths that are all owned by liberals, and they are all working together to force us conservatives out of the public square. So I'm hoping I have some potential good news. Here's a headline: Father of the web, Tim Berners-Lee prepares, quote, do-over, unquote. Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the British computer scientist who was knighted for inventing the internet navigation system known as the World Wide Web, wants to remake cyberspace once again. With a new startup called Inrupt, Berners-Lee aims to fix some of the problems that have handicapped the so-called open web in an age of huge, closed platforms such as Facebook. And that was the idea. I'm going to jump in here for a second from the article. That's what Berners-Lee had in mind, or what Sir Tim had in mind, that the internet would be an open platform, an open space for people all over the world to speak freely and to post freely and to run businesses freely, just to be open and free. But as Berners-Lee is saying, and I'll give you some more on this as we go forward, what was supposed to be an open platform, an open space for the whole world, is turning into a closed space or segregated spaces that are run by these large corporations. That's what he wants to do away with, because that was not what he had in mind. He said himself several times that in other articles that he regrets creating the internet, that he created a monster, that this was not at all what he intended. So getting back to the article, Inrupt promises a web where people can use a single sign-on for any service, and personal data is stored in, quote, pods, unquote, or personal online data stores controlled by the user. That's what PODS stands for, PODS, personal online data stores. Quote, people are fed up with the lack of controls, unquote, said Berners-Lee, co-founder and chief technology officer of Inrupt, in an interview at the Reuters Next conference. This new updated web, Berners-Lee said, will enable the kind of person-to-person sharing and collaboration that has helped make the big social media services so successful while leaving the user in control. And that is the difference, as you'll see in a moment. Now let me go on to a second article, give you a little bit more detail here, a little bit more insight into what Berners-Lee is concerned about and what he is trying to do. This is from the New York Times. Here's the headline: he created the web, now he's out to remake the digital world. Mr. Berners-Lee, 65, believes the online world has gone astray. Too much power and too much personal data, he says, reside with the tech giants like Google and Facebook. Fueled by vast troves of data, he says, they have become surveillance platforms and gatekeepers of innovation. Regulators have voiced similar complaints. The big tech companies are facing tougher privacy rules in Europe and some American states, led by California. Google and Facebook have been hit with antitrust suits. But Mr. Berners-Lee is taking a different approach. His answer to the problem is technology that gives individuals more power. The goal, he said, is to move toward, quote, the web that I originally wanted, unquote. Quote, pods, unquote, personal online data stores are a key technical ingredient to achieve that goal. The idea is that each person could control his or her own data. Websites visited, credit card purchases, workout routines, music streamed in an individual data safe, typically a sliver of server space. Companies, and this is important, companies could gain access to a person's data with permission through a secure link for a specific task, like processing a loan application or delivering a personalized ad. They could link to and use personal information selectively, but not store it. And that is, and if not the important point, users would be able to use that data only with permission, only for a specific purpose, and they would not be able to store the data. They could not use that to target us consumers for other purposes, or to share it, or to invade our privacy and just keep tabs on us. They would not be able to store the data. Mr. Berners-Lee's vision of personal data sovereignty stands in sharp contrast to the harvest and hoard model of the big tech companies, but it has some echoes of the original web formula, a set of technology standards that developers can use to write programs and that entrepreneurs and companies can use to build businesses. He began an open source software project, Solid, and later founded a company that I mentioned already, Inrupt, with John Bruce, a veteran of 5 previous startups, to kickstart adoption. For Mr. Berners-Lee, the Solid Inrupt venture is a fix-it project. He has spent his career championing information sharing, openness, and personal empowerment online. Quote, "But Tim has become increasingly concerned as power in the digital world is weighted against the individual," unquote, said Daniel Weitzner, a principal research scientist at the MIT Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory. Quote, "That shift is what Solid and Inrupt are meant to correct," unquote. The long view is a thriving, decentralized marketplace fueled by personal empowerment and collaboration, Mr. Berners-Lee said. Quote, "The end vision is very powerful," he said, quote, and I say amen. So you see what he's talking about, that right now, if you use Facebook or if you use these big companies, Google, for anything, data about what you did, where you went, what your interests are stored. So under Berners-Lee's vision, that would no longer be possible. They would not be able to hoard the data and build a giant database of us. But the other important part that I really wanted to get to in terms of free speech is this last quote. "The long view is a thriving, decentralized marketplace fueled by personal empowerment and collaboration," Mr. Berners-Lee said. The end vision is very powerful. What he said somewhere else, I don't have the article in front of me, he said that instead of, well, it drives me crazy. All these websites I visit, and they have all these passwords, and I would need all these passwords to go on to one site and then go on to another, and the information that is on one website is not accessible unless I'm on that website. What he is talking about, he is proposing we would all have one password, one username, one password to see everything. So you wouldn't need one for this site, one for that one, and more important, you wouldn't be able to, if you posted something on Facebook, let's say, and then or Twitter, and then they delete it and they take you off of it, well, that information would be out on the web. You would still be able to get to it because you would have this universal password. That's number one. But number two, what I'm hoping is more important. I'm not a tech guy. I don't know if I'm understanding Berners-Lee's vision totally. But if I understand Berners-Lee's vision correctly, somebody like Parler could not be kicked off the internet because they would have access to the internet directly. They would not have to go through a particular company because they would not be confined to a particular company. There would be a universal password and people would be able to get that information anywhere. But also, if there's a universal password, people like me who are creators and websites such as Parler would be able to go directly onto the internet, put their websites directly onto the internet, not requiring a middleman or information from anybody else. In other words, the internet would be the completely open communications medium, social medium that Berners-Lee envisioned when he created the World Wide Web way back in 1992. And that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate the time that you spend with me. If you could spend a little bit more time on my behalf, I would really love it if you'd give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Comment section below the video. You can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could also visit my music channel, separate channel with original music. There's a link in the description. And I've been saying for the past few vlogs that I'm working on a new song, and then I said it's finished, and I said it'll be up soon. It's up now, okay? It's up. There's a link in the description with all the other songs, but it's at the top of the list. It says new song, can't miss it. And I've got links to, I think, Spotify and Apple, iTunes, and I think Amazon, whatever. I got, if you go to any streaming service just about within the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to find me. But those are there for sure, and there are links. And if you go to the links, follow the links, you're going to find all my other songs too. And then you can either buy them or you can stream them, or you can do both. And let's see what else is left. You could subscribe to this channel or the other channel. That would really be great. And you could also come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see you all again, bye.